It is the most successful fast food company on the planet. Feeding us on every high street, it's part of the landscape in 120 countries.
McDonald's is the biggest brand in the world.
But one company is constantly challenging it: Burger King.
It's the thorn in the side of McDonald's, the annoying little brother.
The two burger giants have been at war for more than 60 years.
It's kind of like fast food theatre.
As Burger King uses every tactic available
The battle of the burger bars is as fierce as ever.
to poke fun at its well-established bigger brother.
It's a brand rivalry. It's an ongoing battle.
For 6 decades, a battle over our stomachs that shapes how we eat.
There was simply nothing like it.
This is the story of how a super brand manages to stay at the top
They lure them in with the Happy Meals.
and the barefaced tactics its smaller rival uses to challenge it.
If you got within 600 feet of a McDonald's, then you would get a notification from Burger King saying that you could get a Burger King meal for $0.01.
As they both fight to survive in a global market that is constantly changing.
We're definitely moving towards a more meatless future, and I think we're going to see a lot more plant-based food on the menu.
Which one will you choose?
This is why Burger King is going to win the battle.
To win the Battle of the Burgers.
It's a war, it's a battle, it's a ruthless fight.
McDonald's, with its iconic golden arches, has been the trailblazer that set the standard in the fast food marketplace. Burger King, the gutsy challenger, will stop at nothing to usurp the position of its bigger brother. Today, the rivalry between these global superpowers is bigger than ever before. With a 34% rise in fast food consumption in the UK alone, the war is on for profits and power. And nowhere is the battle played out more fiercely than between the two best-selling burgers on the planet, the Whopper and the Big Mac.
It's another Whitfield food review.
And these guys, online food reviewers who get millions of hits, love nothing more than sampling them.
Pop that lid.
In the red corner,
The iconic McDonald's Big Mac.
I like when it's covered in grease on the outside of the box.
Yeah, you know what you're getting yourself into.
2 beef patties.
Sweet, we got some good pickles, looks like some lettuce, that mac sauce.
Add Big Mac sauce in a sesame seed bun.
That's pretty big.
Then cheese, lettuce, onions, and pickles on top.
The mac sauce is what does it for me, I think. Big Mac, overall thumbs up?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
In the US alone, over 500 million Big Macs are sold every year. Roughly 17 a second. It's the gold standard of burgers. And in the blue corner, the challenger, the Whopper.
More beef, better taste.
Created in 1957, the Whopper sells over 1 billion a year, making it the only serious rival to the Big Mac.
This is 110 grams, my friend.
With those 110 grams of beef, the Whopper smashes the Big Mac's 90 out of the park.
It feels wider.
It's a
than the
wide
Big.
burger,
It's
dude.
a very wide, it's not as tall. It's a wider burger.
In fact, the Whopper is almost an inch wider.
Whopper, baby.
Whopper.
Cheers. It's what I know, and it's what I love.
I do love, man, you know what, you said it, and I don't usually think about it, but now I am. That flame grilled, it really does have a different taste.
And with 630 calories, it towers over the Big Mac's 540.
You get a Whopper and fries and a drink, you are stuffed, my friend.
So, how did these two burgers become the best-selling in the world? Rewind to 1939, as the US was emerging from depression. Business was booming, especially the motor industry.
Sort of age of the motor car, 40s and 50s, this surge of this new toy that people could afford to use. Petrol was cheap, obviously. It was a major leisure vehicle. And they were looking for something to do, and one of the big things you're looking to do is eat.
For the two brothers, Richard and Maurice McDonald, those hungry drivers represented a business opportunity. And in 1940, they opened their first restaurant on none other than Route 66 in San Bernardino, California. Demand was high, but service was slow. Too many items on the menu.
They were doing everything from, barbecued food, some burgers. I mean, the McDonald brothers were really kind of turning out every sort of food they could get their hands on.
So they shut down their restaurant and decided on their tennis court how to lay out the most efficient system of food preparation so that you could get your hamburger in under 20 seconds.
This was assembly line cooking, and it mimicked the idea of the assembly line car produced by people like Henry Ford. It was fast food, and the first time really the world had seen food like this.
The speed, service and taste soon marked McDonald's out from the rest.
There was simply nothing like it.
And they had the sign out in front that said, over 1 million hamburgers sold.
In 1954, over 2,000 miles away in Jacksonville, Florida, Keith Kramer and Matthew Burns were thinking about their new restaurant and were inspired by what McDonald's was doing.
Burger King saw what McDonald's were doing, but they didn't mimic it. They did something very different, and they created something that tasted totally different.
They had bought rights to an instant meat broiler that could give their burgers a flame-grilled taste to the hungry drivers passing by their new Florida store.
When Burger King first opened, it needed something to really distinguish it from McDonald's, and the flame-grilled element really did that. It was something different, and it sounds really evocative too. It sounds delicious.
Broiling versus frying would sit at the core of the unparalleled rivalry between the two giants.
Burger King presents Broiling versus Frying.
I can't figure McDonald's out. Everybody knows flame broiling beat frying nearly 3 to 1. It was on TV. But
It does affect the taste, but it certainly is something that's vitally important when you want to separate yourself in a highly competitive market. You have a technique, you have a way of cooking, you have a way of presenting your food that's different from your competitors.
So, what are you gonna do? I know, go to Burger King. Aren't you hungry for Burger King now?
Coming up, McDonald's introduce a creepy-looking clown that pushes sales into the stratosphere.
Especially when you got delicious McDonald's hamburgers.
And the gloves are off when Burger King strikes back.
Now watch me, kids, when I twist my rings like magic.
We're at Burger King!
In 1953, in San Bernardino, California, McDonald's fast food restaurants were booming. The chain had established itself in the US landscape, and by 1958, they sell their 1 billionth hamburger. Over at Burger King, the young upstart, having followed McDonald's successful fast food model, was slowly expanding, with each outlet featuring broilers to guarantee their unique flame-grilled taste.
So you get the taste of the flame. And that was very distinct to what then seemed rather like, in comparison, a rather insipid product from McDonald's.
But the new kids on the burger block wanted a product that would catapult them into the big league, just like McDonald's. Challenging the established approach at McDonald's, they came up with a burger that to many has become the most iconic in the world. The Whopper.
The bigger the burger, the better the burger. The burgers are bigger at Burger King.
The burgers are bigger at Burger King.
As soon as you use the word Whopper, it is bigger and better than your competitors, and it has more value.
It's just a bigger patty, it's a bigger bun, it's just a much bigger product.
The Whopper was launched, and Burger King was its home. They wanted it to be bigger than anything sold on the more traditional McDonald's menu.
Being bigger than your competitors drags people away from the competition and heads straight for your outlet.
In the history of brands, what's clever about the Whopper is that it signified a huge move for the company And it's part of their brand armory that they've had ever since.
Presenting the ultimate weapon.
America loved things that were big, blousy, and beautiful. The Whopper was that, and it still is that.
We hope it won't be necessary to do this again.
The Whopper helped Burger King get noticed as the younger, hipper, more aggressive brand. McDonald's, meanwhile, carried on expanding their empire, building more of their iconic roadside drive-thrus. If you wanted a hot meal fast, you were swamped with options.
One of the reasons for the success of McDonald's was they had this unique golden arches that came out of the building and came outside. And the reason why fast food operations in general had unique architecture was simply people would be driving by. They would drive by on a freeway or drive by on a highway, and you would know exactly what you're going to get.
Albert Akora runs a McDonald's museum on the site of that very first drive-thru.
Behind me is the original McDonald's sign. So this property is the original offices of Dick McDonald. This was his personal office. These are the original red and white tiles.
There was a hidden persuasion about the McDonald's branding that became something so identifiable, it threw out the competition.
Before the Big Mac, the restaurant menu was limited, but one item proved irresistible.
McDonald's became famous for the French fries, and they processed all the French fries, peel all the potatoes for the next day. The Santa Ana winds, the dry winds, they air dry the potatoes. So we're sort of a semi-desert out here.
McDonald's got extremely consistent image with the golden arches. All its stores look exactly the same. It's an amazingly consistent Americana feel to it. I think Burger King might lack a consistent identity, actually. Although it's trying to be nimble and cool and innovative, it probably lacks that brand identity and consistency that McDonald's has achieved over, what, 65 years or so.
By 1962, the iconic golden arches become part of the very fabric of the United States. They were everywhere. A year later, the McDonald's behemoth introduced a new character, which further boosted its brand status as a bright, happy place to enjoy your meal.
Now, where is that clown? Oh, Ronald! Ronald!
A bit creepy? Maybe. Effective? Definitely.
TV fun, especially when you got delicious McDonald's hamburgers.
Ronald McDonald all of a sudden became a very popular figure, particularly for kids. And so national advertising really begins in 1964.
McDonald's hamburgers, French fries, and milkshake.
Great brands have a livable icon. Disney have Mickey Mouse. McDonald's have Ronald McDonald. The simplicity of marketing of actually having a Pied Piper to bring kids along to the outlet each Saturday was in fact a stroke of genius.
Whilst McDonald's had a clown that became a household name, Burger King followed suit by creating a cartoon character.
Hey, look who's working at Burger King.
He was the Burger King. He was a cartoon character. He was designed and animated by the same people who were creating some of the most iconic cartoons at the time.
Magician, make me a Whopper. Make you a Whopper. Okay, you're a Whopper. No, I mean, give me a Whopper. Phew.
You've got these two brands fighting over the same market using very clever tactics and throwing every single piece of creative genius they could at it.
You're a vanilla shake. Hey, you made me a bag of French fries. Nobody's perfect.
Despite McDonald's status, they knew they needed something beyond their traditional burgers to rival the success of the Whopper. And they hit the jackpot.
2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Every teenager in America in the 1970s knew that.
2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun.
2 all beef patties.
2 all beef patties. Wait, 2 all beef patties. Whopper just keeps getting more impressive and it stays the same size.
Cheese, pickles, onions, lettuce. Cheese, pickles, oh, what am I saying?
The recipe worked, and the Big Mac was a hit. Having now become a super brand in the US, McDonald's set its sights on conquering the UK.
The UK restaurant scene kind of mumbled along in a fairly bleak way for quite a long time. So given that background, and given the fact that people didn't eat out as a family, as a habit very often, when the burger arrived in this country, it was a really exciting glimmer of light.
Imagine it was a bit like some kind of American fairy dust being sprinkled on the high streets. You know, we used to have all of these really terrible, kind of dull and gloomy shops, and suddenly here was this bright and shiny American idea.
Despite having led the way, McDonald's took a conservative approach and opened their first branch in a quiet suburb of London. Not so for Burger King, who wanted to challenge McDonald's success by opening their store 2 years later, slap bang in the centre of town.
They opened in the West End, just a stone's throw from Piccadilly Circus, you know, the city's area of bright lights and excitement. And I think that tells you a lot about what Burger King had in terms of its ambition.
It felt that we were biting a piece of that American TV and movie land, that we were hypnotised by either the square or the big screen.
Within a decade of the first London opening, whilst Burger King are making a splash in the heart of London's West End, their 14 stores are nothing compared to the muscle of McDonald's, who have around 200. And it wasn't just the UK that McDonald's were taking over. The Golden Arches could be found in 35 countries.
McDonald's became successful with their better marketing, better PR, greater ambition, forthright determination, and clever licensing.
So what did Burger King do? They stole one of McDonald's top marketing executives from right under their nose.
Don Smith was third in line to the CEO at McDonald's, and so when he jumped over to Burger King, that was a massive coup for them.
Billions of dollars are in place for this, and to remain at the top of the game, it's a war, it's a battle, it's a ruthless fight.
Smith poached more McDonald's senior staff to Burger King and launched what he called Operation Phoenix to restructure the company as a brand to challenge its established rival.
Burger King introduces the Battle
Not
of the
surprisingly, a similar menu to McDonald's soon appeared, which introduced specialty items like fish and chicken burgers and breakfast meals.
Scrambled eggs, omelets with cheese or Creole sauce, the crisp sandwich with sausage, ham, or bacon.
McDonald's had been serving breakfast since 1972, and when Smith moved over to Burger King, he took a lot of that success, a lot of that knowledge, and really ploughed it into Burger King.
It's a delicious new way to feed the troops. The all-new breakfast spread from Burger King.
A tactic they made no attempt to hide. Far from it, Burger King actually released a highly provocative commercial poking fun at its rival. In it, their company icon could be seen breaking into McDonald's HQ and stealing their breakfast recipes.
Sausage and melted cheese on a toasted English muffin.
It was a real kind of kick in the teeth for McDonald's, especially when Burger King then started shouting about it in adverts.
I don't think that guy is supposed to be here.
Smith also introduced a new kids character called the Magic King to attract more kids into the stores.
Burger King do seem to always be sort of second fiddle to McDonald's. They're always 2 or 3 innovations, 2 or 3 steps behind McDonald's. It's as if they're waiting to see what will happen when McDonald's go into a particular territory.
It's the Magic Burger King! Where? That's not the real Magic Burger King. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, no, it's not.
Oh, yes, it is.
The Magic Burger King just fell flat.
Now watch me, kids, when I twist my ring like magic.
We're at Burger King!
And it just shows, to a certain extent, how clever and how iconic Ronald was and how difficult it was to flip.
McDonald's were about to deal a further blow to Burger King with a product that would be a runaway success. Seen here in the hands of 2 more of America's top food vloggers.
This is McDonald's Happy Meal. Show the smile. See the smile? It's
for happiness.
It's not a bad meal, it's not a sort of mediocre meal, it's a happy meal, it's a celebration. It's a very simple idea that it brings a family together.
The main reason on why they focus on children is they will bring the parents in. And so the parents will come in and order food in addition to the children. So consequently, it's a double win for them.
The kicker of the Happy Meal is, of course, the toy. Not only does the kid love the toy, it's incentive. It's an incentive because you go, eat all your food, eat all those apple slices, or you don't get to play with the toy.
The Happy Meal contains a main item like a hamburger or chicken McNuggets, a side item like French fries or apple slices, and a drink. Hugely popular in the US, they sell $10 million worth a day, 89 of them a second during peak time.
The one thing that so many brands want to do is to try and surreptitiously hook kids so that they have customers for life, and they want to do it in a way that's legal. It was probably the most effective piece of marketing, not just sensationally successful, but historically quite astonishing.
The success of the Happy Meal must have hurt Burger King, because what it did next was perhaps the most aggressive act in corporate rivalry ever.
Do I look 20% smaller to you? I must to McDonald's. When I order a regular burger at McDonald's, they make it with 20% less meat than Burger King. Unbelievable.
You know, Burger King doesn't have the same reach as McDonald's, and so therefore you have to have better, funnier, cleverer, smarter ideas.
It's always there, always come out with a new idea, always come out with a better idea. It must be very irritating if you're McDonald's and Burger King's out there somewhere doing something.
Luckily, I know a perfect way to show McDonald's how I feel. I go to Burger King. Aren't you hungry for Burger King now?
Having constantly provoked them, McDonald's had had enough. They filed a lawsuit to prevent the commercials airing, but failed in their bid. Burger King, having challenged them and won, were delighted, and the ads kept on playing.
Burger King is always the annoying little brother. It's the thorn in the side of McDonald's, and McDonald's just cannot shake it off, however much it tries.
But Burger King would keep pushing and poking fun at them throughout the 80s, creating a brand rivalry unparalleled. And with billions of dollars at stake, for Burger King, no challenge was off limits. Coming up, our favourite vloggers compare the world's best-selling fries.
Burger Kings are definitely thicker. About twice the thickness, they really are.
And a box office hit movie threatens to wreak havoc on both burger giants.
Morgan Spurlock ate nothing but McDonald's food. His cholesterol, his blood pressure went off the roof.
In the mid-80s, the fast food giants McDonald's and its younger rival, Burger King, were about to enter a golden period as high street spending increased for both companies, creating seriously healthy profits.
McDonald's is opening another 100 restaurants in the new year. Burger King, its main rival, is opening 55. The battle of the burger bars is as fierce as ever.
To gain even more of a foothold, the two companies turned to advertising, and between them spend nearly $300 million in 1983 alone. McDonald's stronger brand was ploughing ahead with 37% market share, whilst Burger King's 16% was little more than an annoyance to those working under the golden arches. For Burger King, however, provoking its big rival allowed it to have more fun in its ads and be more original in the way it served its customers.
May I help you, sir?
2 Whoppers, 2 Whopper Juniors, and 4 Coca-Cola. And would I have to wait long if you made 1 Whopper with no pickle and no lettuce?
No, sir. Hold the pickle, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way. Oh, well,
Burger King's Have It Your Way campaign was quite interesting in that you could tailor your own burger. McDonald's has always been about consistency, right? So Burger King was trying to make that a weakness of McDonald's. It was saying it was too predictable.
Now, that's the way to do things. Our way.
Have it your way. Have it your way at Burger King. It's Burger King.
In a way, burgers are classic brands. There's not much to choose between different hamburgers, so you have to spend a lot on marketing to win market share from one to the other.
Decisions, decisions.
Taking pot shots at McDonald's became something that defined the Burger King brand.
McDLT's fried, so it tastes, well, fried. The Whopper is flame broiled to taste more like a backyard barbecue. The McDLT is the one they'd rather serve their way. The Whopper is fixed your way to your taste, all of which should make your basic decision very simple.
It just shows how smart you have to be, that when you're potentially the underdog, you can actually have cleverer, irreverent communication that it can infuriate and confound the competition.
But it wasn't just the burgers that were raking in the profits. What most people don't realise is that the humble McDonald's French fry is actually the best-selling fast food item of all time.
Fries are the unsung hero on the McDonald's and Burger King menu. If you think about it, you get fries with pretty much everything you order. And also, for a long time, it was the only thing vegetarians could actually eat when they went there.
McDonald's might outsell Burger King, but who has the best tasting fries? Only one way to find out.
Woo! Piping hot, fresh from the Golden Arches, baby, the McFries. And then the challenger, Burger King. Piping hot, golden brown. Look at, it's got a little tongue on there. I just want to comment on the fact that Burger Kings are definitely thicker. About twice the thickness, they really are.
That's right. Burger King medium fries are a third thicker than McDonald's.
Oh my God. God, it's so good. Oh, right out of the gate. Wow, Burger King. Dude.
So good, in fact, that McDonald's sell 9 million a day globally.
It's amazing how they don't look that different. They are so different.
That could be the salt, as Burger King fries have a whopping 30% more than McDonald's.
Tell me that thickness of fries dictates a better eating and flavor experience. No. The thinness actually makes these like
then why are you
even
doubling and
better.
tripling down?
Because I want more in my mouth because it's so good.
But if the thinness makes them better, why aren't you eating them one at a time? Thinness makes them better. What are you doing?
When has thinness ever made anything better?
It's the 1990s, and McDonald's bid for world domination is cemented as over 1,000 new restaurants open every year across the globe.
One of the largest McDonald's in the world was in Moscow for a long time.
В битве идей побеждает Макдональдс.
In the UK, they're everywhere. Burger King, however, has failed to come anywhere near matching McDonald's scale, lagging far behind with less than a third of the amount of stores. Things couldn't be better for McDonald's. But in the late 90s, fast food comes under attack, and McDonald's scale and visibility make them incredibly vulnerable.
The 1970s and the 1980s were a time of glorious growth for McDonald's. And I suppose it was mainly fueled by its very simple popularity. But once McDonald's crept into the 1990s, the brand started to come under attack from all sides.
McDonald's attracted a lot more criticism, and that became, to a certain extent, the end of what had been, particularly its early days, a bit of a fairy tale.
The anti-capitalist movement lines up McDonald's as target number one, and protests grow across the globe. A group of Greenpeace activists make a string of allegations about animal cruelty, unhealthy food, and poor working practices in a case that became known as McLibel.
McDonald's won the case, but they lost the PR battle. The big story was of this corporate beast against the idea of freedom of speech. It was a PR disaster.
And being the global market leader meant that when fast food came under scrutiny, it was McDonald's that took the brunt of the blame. This time, it's Hollywood weighing in, with a documentary called Super Size Me, which took a shot at McDonald's massive portions.
Okay.
It just keeps getting bigger.
The supersized documentary for the first time, I think, dramatically showed just how dangerous fast food was. Because the guy in it, Morgan Spurlock, ate nothing but McDonald's food for 30 days. And his cholesterol, his blood pressure, many of the other medical indicators went off the roof.
I nearly doubled my risk of coronary heart disease, making myself twice as likely to have heart failure. I felt depressed and exhausted most of the time, my mood swung on a dime, and my sex life was non-existent.
His doctors were begging him to quit.
The thing that most appealed to the British public, the thing that propelled it into this machine of growth, the idea of quick, cheap, family food, is also the thing that opens it up to the charge of being responsible for the obesity epidemic in this country.
From a PR point of view, Super Size Me was a turning point for McDonald's. It made influencers at the time think that if we were going to sustain our life just purely on McDonald's, look at the disaster to our health. And that caught fire. And that was incredibly difficult to contain, because if you're going to consume McDonald's over a period of time on that scale, you're going to die. That's not good for a brand.
McDonald's claim the film is flawed. A year after the movie's release, McDonald's and then Burger King introduced salads alongside veggie wraps, smoothies and fruit. As a non-meat option, for many years both chains had also been selling a fishy alternative. McDonald's, as always, pioneered it, and Burger King followed suit. But which one wins the taste test?
The Filet-O-Fish. Oh, wow.
Let's find out.
Is made with wild-caught Alaskan pollock.
The sandwich was the first non-hamburger item to be launched.
It's kind of dry.
It was released to help sales in Catholic areas, where customers abstained from eating meat on Fridays.
This was a staple of my Lent experience.
Growing up as a Catholic boy?
Oh, yeah, dude. This was always something that I had on Fridays during Lent.
Ingredients: a fried breaded fish fillet.
Looks flaky. It looks like it could be fish.
A steamed bun.
It is a fluffy bun.
Tartar sauce.
McDonald's made me like tartar sauce.
That's an impressive feat.
And American cheese.
Fish with cheese. That's odd, right?
Where does this fall in your rank of things, though, on the menu? Like, do you still go beef sandwiches?
Oh, yeah, this is still dead last.
Yeah.
Burger King's alternative? The Big Fish.
Ready for some fish?
I'm ready for some big fish.
And it's just that, with 188 grams of Alaskan pollock to the fillet's 156 grams.
Got a square piece of fish because fish is square. So if you're comparing this to the Filet-O-Fish, the kind of Mac Daddy fish sandwich in McDonald's, this does not have cheese, Corey.
This is cheeseless.
It's a cheeseless?
The cheeseless wonder, some people call it.
Cheers.
In terms of fat, the Big Fish wins hands down, with 32 grams versus the fillet's 18 grams.
This actually isn't bad.
It's not bad at all.
The Big Fish debuted in 1978, shortly after the new McDonald's execs switched camps to Burger King. When it launched, it went by the name The Whaler.
Just when you thought this was the big fish in the sea, Burger King brings back the Whaler. Crispy
and in true Burger King fashion, they immediately went after their competition, blatantly showing McDonald's Filet-O-Fish packaging in the ad.
The Big Fish initiative by Burger King, that's just an example of, it picks an area like fish burgers and it decides to take that kind of guerrilla attack. So literally in this sense, a Jaws type attack on its rival.
The Whaler doesn't get swallowed up by the bun like some others do. You know who, yes, you know who. Aren't you hungry for the Burger King Whaler?
With all the bad publicity surrounding burgers, some consider a fish burger a healthier alternative. But is it?
I ask my law students, who are about the brightest in this country, to look at 3 different items, and I ask them to choose which is healthiest. Filet-O-Fish, which people think is kind of healthy, or chicken McNuggets, or a greasy bacon cheeseburger. Which is the healthiest? almost always my bright students say fish. Chicken McNuggets, usually in the middle. But a greasy hamburger with cheese on it, oh, that's not healthy at all. And then I project up on the board exactly what's in it. If you look at the fish, 470 calories, 26 grams of fat. You look at the cheeseburger, it's got 14 grams of fat, about half what you get in the fish. Here's the problem. McDonald's knows that most people think this way. Fish healthy, cheeseburgers very unhealthy.
Having taken the lion's share of the blame, McDonald's and latterly Burger King had been forced to change their menus and jump on board the healthy lifestyle bandwagon.
Healthier options here bolster McDonald's argument that tackling obesity is all about offering food choices and then letting individuals take responsibility.
We've embarrassed them into providing more healthful entrees. We have pressured them to provide more nutritional stuff for kids.
What McDonald's did was to listen, and they knew radically they had to change the brand or they would die.
Coming up, after a rare peace offering,
what is Burger King up to? They're wanting us to talk about a marketing gimmick.
Burger King start to get ahead in the game. Will they finally be able to steal McDonald's crown?
Burger King has really put its weight behind the Impossible Burger, and it's actually increased sales 50% across the US.
In the 21st century, McDonald's and Burger King have been at war for nearly 70 years, with a young pretender constantly poking fun at its older, established sibling. But believe it or not, in 2015, Burger King for once took a mature approach and attempted to make peace with its bigger rival to create a unique product.
They offered, through newspaper commercials, let's join together for charity for one day, merging the Big Mac with the Whopper.
What is Burger King up to? They're wanting us to talk about a marketing gimmick. McDonald's response just left everybody feeling flat.
It may be a lost opportunity for McDonald's not to acknowledge the war that's been going on, but I can understand why McDonald's doesn't want to acknowledge its little competitor.
So it was back to the drawing board, or rather the battleground, and Burger King did what it did best and took another swipe at McDonald's. Again.
Burger King decided to react against the Happy Meals and say actually that people aren't happy all the time. They created moody food, real meals.
Sometimes it is said that it's only true if it makes you laugh. And I think the best advertising are the ones that we really laugh at.
I want my Whopper.
Despite constant attacks from its smaller rival, for both companies, change was on the cards.
We're actually seeing a lot of really exciting innovation on the high street, so a lot of independents are taking the fast food model and using it to sell healthier fast food.
Sales in the fast food market are up 34%, and the food, like the profits, is also getting healthier, bringing a new competition that caters for customers with concerns about animal welfare and the environment, who are suspicious of the ethics of the two US giants.
And they knew radically they had to change the brand or they would die.
I suppose one of the great phenomenons now is a genuine search for healthy alternatives, and it's becoming mainstream.
You do feel that they are trying to adapt to the age, but actually the age now is moving much faster and the change is coming on much more quicker than I think both brands can face.
7% of British people now identify as vegan, and I think more and more people are becoming flexitarian and looking to reduce their meat consumption. So McDonald's really needs to get into the plant-based food technology game and start offering more vegan options for their consumers.
They are super tankers It is impossible to turn quickly, to face these changes and these culture wars that are igniting within social media.
We are on the cusp of a vegan food revolution. Plant-based food technologies are set to explode in the mainstream.
Burger King and McDonald's are very hastily trying to get onto the vegan craze. They're not just dipping a toe in the water of veganism and vegetarianism. They are plunging in, and they are thrashing around to try and, you know, fight for their own territory.
But for the first time in their history, McDonald's seem to have taken a back seat in the battle. It looks like Burger King may have stolen the thunder from its big rival, producing something not extraordinary, but impossible.
It tastes like meat, it bleeds like meat. If you've got your eyes shut, you probably think it is meat.
But it's not. It's a 100% vegan burger, made from the protein heme, which is found in plants. And Burger King launched it across their US stores, boosting its sales and street cred.
Burger King has really put its weight behind the Impossible Burger, and it's actually increased sales 50% across the US. And what's interesting, a bit like the Greg's vegan sausage roll, is that there's this kind of halo vegan effect where people go for the vegan food, but they might actually end up buying other products as well.
But how does the Impossible Whopper compare with the real Whopper?
Dude, I cannot tell much of a difference at all. You're right, I really can't tell a ton. It's not meat, and it's not that different, though. This is crazy. Dude, you could not tell much of a difference at all. I'm just gonna two-hand my Impossible Whopper and eat this. This is good. I like this. Oh my God. This is good. I'm gonna say this, though, I'm sticking with the Whopper.
Burger King have often been 2 steps behind McDonald's, but I think with the Impossible Burger, Burger King have beaten McDonald's at their own game.
And the challenger to the fast food crown recently employed new technology to come up with their most outrageously aggressive marketing tool to date.
If you downloaded their app in the United States or in certain areas of the United States, if you approached a McDonald's, if you got within 600 feet of a McDonald's, then you would get a notification from Burger King saying that if you retreated to one of their branches, you could get a Burger King meal for a cent.
So what now for McDonald's? Could this be the end after 60 years of their dominance over our stomachs and wallets? Or can they bounce back?
We're definitely moving towards a more meatless future, and I think we're going to see a lot more plant-based food on the menu.
As a person who's looked at McDonald's for a long period of time, is how quickly they have changed and adapted.
McDonald's is going to continue to innovate and continue to change.
Perhaps we're going to have to see vegan McDonald's opening up. Perhaps we're going to have to see some McDonald's becoming super uber premium. Perhaps we've got to see, in some areas, McDonald's becoming incredibly cheap, going massively down market.
Despite our desire for a healthier lifestyle, you see more and more burger chains, you see more and more fast food. So as long as we've got the option to eat healthier food, I think they'll continue to thrive.
In the current social media landscape, it feels like Burger King are slightly edging towards the win. They're a bit more fearless, slightly more bolshy. Consumers really love that fast food theatre.
Don't write off either Burger King, and certainly not McDonald's. Their history, their power, their brand stature certainly indicates that they are going to be around for a long time.
This is the story of a war that's been going on for nearly 70 years. McDonald's may have beaten Burger King in the battle to put a store on every high street, but together, the rivalry between them has influenced how and what we eat. Tastes will continue to change, but as long as people need food, these two super brands will continue to find new ways to adapt in a battle that will only become fiercer and fiercer.
It's Coca-Cola versus Pepsi as two more heavyweights go head-to-head. The Cola Wars kick off brand new next Monday at 9. And tonight, battling the scales and their addiction to food. 3 people tell their stories in Eating Myself to Death. Brand new next.